Mystical Levels 3. First of all, I was interested. How do you get rid of a false identity? For me, 3 exercises have become important from all the diverse methods that monks and nuns have used in Christianity. The liberation of the will, the liberation of the feelings, and the liberation of the spirit, i.e., head, heart, and hand. These 3 levels. We are body, soul, spirit, and a liberation exercise for each of the levels. So how do I get to the next level? That is the topic. These are now the exercises. Everyday awareness of this looking over your shoulder, lovingly, humorously. In our society, activity is something that is very important, including action and events, and there is no need to relax. The pre-retirement, yes, something that I sometimes hear in story seminars, is also wonderful, that I think, oh God, I have the same virus in me, but I have to be careful. So that doesn't come automatically. The best thing was when a pensioner, a retired teacher in his retirement, said to me, I finally wanted a vacation. And for the monks, activity is not the main value at all. But first look, what drives me to action? So does what I'm doing here even make sense? And the main motives why we move is often performance, i.e. getting recognition and being loved. So when some people say, yes, if I don't go there anymore, then they won't invite me anymore, and then I'll be excluded. We are actually something like pack and group creatures, and excluded from the group. The exercise is now to free your will, so that you can see what your absolute favorite activity is, because it is self-motivated by you. So if I were to order you so that I like you, or so that I like you, you have to do this activity for at least 3 hours. So if someone likes singing in a choir, then that's their favorite activity, or for me, sea kayaking. So you have to get me away from there. These are the kinds of activities. And then they feel that they are in a completely different mood when they carry out this action. They are with themselves. They are no longer torn apart. So torn again. That's just my Eastern school as a model. It's torn when I sit in the classroom, find the walls ugly, the blackboard too, and look out and wish I was somewhere else. And then my mind wanders to think of all the nice things that could be done. That's the body here, the soul somewhere else, and the spirit perhaps somewhere else. And in her favorite activity, like a Russian matryoshka or like an onion, everything is concentrated. And then they will realize that from then on they can experience eternity. So it's a very important stage. That's what it's actually about. And in this respect, favorite activities have an almost addictive nature. So here you could first shorten it to your favorite activity, or to a physical movement that remains decent, socially acceptable. Otherwise you say, yes, I was Bobert, and if she wants it that way, then it would have to be followed again. And internalize the physical experience. What does it feel like to be in the middle of your favorite activity? And from now on, this is difficult at first. Try to do this gesture or action very briefly, every hour on the hour in the middle of everyday life, and feel the feeling in your body. Then you always have your goal, not just in mind, but internalized. And then you realize for yourself, if you do now, do you have 5 minutes? Or can you help me clean out the garage or something? Then you realize, how does it feel to say yes? But will you come with me to the choir? Yes. Then they don't have to think about what motivates what, like in psychotherapy, but rather they feel that that's what they're there for, just to be there. That's what I mean. You are more. And if the plot doesn't work, don't be critical, just have compassion. So please don't. You're motivated. So often the myth is that you get better through criticism. It's more like that. Criticism makes you lose interest. So say to yourself, I love me, I feel for me. When you notice, the goal is every hour once a day, and then you will see who rules over you, who distracts you, who demands so much attention from you that you even forget this memory of your favorite feeling, of your favorite activity. From then on, they are unconscious. From then on, they are switched to automatic mode. These are very risky conditions. If only they still function, then others will control their will. And no matter how active she is, these activities will not make her happy. This is just a beginning. Liberation of the will. So how do I move up a level from everyday consciousness? Some people even call this witness consciousness, the fact that I look lovingly over my shoulder. So how do I get out of my previous identity, which has really been cemented for decades now, also through expectations, others? How do I get out of this? Such an attitude when the snake is too tight in the skin, or would we rather take the lizard? The second exercise would be, how do I lose my bad moods? Because when you're in a bad mood, your mind doesn't work clearly either. He can no longer imagine that everything could be different. This is what I now call the heart-opening exercise. Take back the physical feeling of your favorite activity and concentrate on your physical heart with this feeling filled. At least 30 seconds. It has now been medically proven by the Heart and Mess Institute that this even extends life and even rejuvenates ladies. So beauty that comes from within, and the exercise is also used for heart attack patients. It increases the heart rate variability again, so that the heart doesn't beat at the same time like a machine, but rather slows down very quickly after exertion, but can also adapt to the load again very quickly. So the more variable the heart beats, that's just nature, the longer they will live, even if only mechanically. So no matter what they do, the doctors know he won't live long. So this exercise, the heart being our leading center anyway, really frees the heart. The third exercise, just so you can see what the essence of monasticism is from my point of view. First of all, this liberation, this deconditioning, this final automation that we are not functioning right now. I once found this interesting. Someone who reads a lot of animal books once told me, we ourselves have the wrong image of ants. They are now. People have actually observed ants. They are not that hard-working. On the contrary, they also sleep a lot. They're rather lazy. Next, I'll wait and see what people say about the bees. So there's a bit of dizziness there too. So we tend to project a lot of sick things from our culture onto the animals. Now for the liberation of the mind. The tightest prison we can have is when our mind thinks too small and also believes that to be the whole truth. And that is difficult. How do I find out if my mind has been captured? It's even a theme like Plato's parable of heights, where they sit in the cave and look at the shadows on the wall and think that that's reality. Now they should turn around and then see the sun. That's what it's all about. So our Platonic cave, it's almost like our skull here. How do we get light in there? And that was the most important thing. The Christian monks of the early days say that the monk's struggle, especially not wellness, is with the thoughts. The thoughts were almost demonized. Because if I were to put shackles on you, you would quickly notice. Or, if I put you in mental prisons, then you will only be afraid and no longer trust yourself, or you will only feel like a mole. Who knows, maybe he'll feel good. As the last worm, perhaps even a worm feels even more comfortable. So spiritually in a prison. You notice that sooner or later, but when thoughts have been trapped, for example, in a materialistic worldview, just because everyone says the same thing, from then on psychologists have found that the seventh person who says you are thinking wrong is when self-doubt begins. That's why monks like to form communities. The monk's practice was first to empty the mind. Others would make it empty. To first create a focus of thought above the constantly working thoughts, the working platform, so that we can look at it. And to do this, the one holy sentences have repeated the one holy word. For atheists, for example, if the word love is sacred to them, or in me there is love, my essence is love. So, if you repeat a sentence like that, the monks usually use a name of God, then your hearing will actually change the frequency. So it's as if you, now I'm not that technical, I think what was always noise was medium wave in our transistor radio. Switching from medium wave to FM, so a completely different bandwidth, you get different stations. If you try, like a Zen Buddhist, only hear with the help of a mantra, repeat your holy word very often in your everyday life. This causes your brain to switch from the beta band to the gamma band, 30 to 70 hertz. What others spend years in psychotherapy for, they perceive their standard patterns within a short period of time. It's also valuable to talk about it in everyday life and to notice your own stress patterns. And from then on, of course, they have the key, they are no longer criticized, but see for themselves, do I even want to think that? Where did I get this thought? From then on, you can really clean out. So that's the way out. Regardless of whether you're a Hindu monk or a yogi or a Sufi mystic or a Christian monk, they all work with mantras, including Gandhi. This seems mechanical and stupid at the beginning, but it creates compliance personalities. You actually then have a higher clocked brain. So this is the first way to unlock this I am more within you. You can then look at your Platonic cave from the outside. Now I said with the Frisian joke, what's in it for me to now see how I was programmed? Became. I actually like to compare it to programming. We are only 5% aware of everyday consciousness. This is an iceberg theory that is also often used in coaching theories. That means 95% are routine, automatic. This is also often the problem when people get to know each other, fall in love. They become very attentive and alert to each other. What does she like there? Or, oh, that ring, it really excites me. And when everyday life begins to switch gears, sooner or later, both of them switch to routine. And then you think, who did I buy into this? Where is the receipt? You switch to routine yourself. And routines are, of course, relieving. It's just a matter of clearing out routines. What makes me happy in the sense of being awake and at peace while doing my favorite activity? There you really feel what the monk means. The Christian also with the goal of habitare secum, being at home, being at peace with yourself. As long as there are still programs running in you that say you are not enough or that you have to do something, you can't sit around here, you can't live within yourself. Those are the bumblebees in the background. And people look over their shoulders to throw down exactly these disruptive programs. So that's, don't doubt life. In today's language, the PC is good, but maybe throw down Windows, change the operating system. So this real de-automatization, deprogramming is a great freedom.